that you've had time to digest it all, between the decision itself, the fact it's about Benji, the players turning on him, what have you found the most extraordinary part of the week that unfolded?
I thought extraordinary was Benji Marshall. I thought he was fantastic. He came in and gave a really honest response. And as the question Danny Wadler asked him was, is it because you're a coach? And he said, well, no one thinks I can coach. So,
I like that.
Well, it's just, it's just Benji being Benji. And I think if anyone showed some class, it's him. I think all the things on social media are very childish. I really don't understand how people like to get their opinion across so much. Everyone's self-important to the moment. It's quite incredible. But apart from that, I think Lockie's now got to go back. He's playing at Lickham Oval today. June 30 is the day when you can't move within clubs. So you need to stamp your top 30 June 30. So if there's going to be some movement, he's still got 5 or 6 weeks, and there's a few things that can move. I think Dylan Brown, obviously, there's talk around him. Kai Pearce-Paul's obviously someone that's been spoken about leaving Newcastle. So maybe something could happen around there. But at the end of the day, Lockie needs the Tigers this year, and the Tigers need him. I don't think they go much further if they don't have Lachlan Galvin. He's been one of their best players, and he's the ones that are contributing to their scoreboard. So
can he go back and play for that team? Like the team's been pretty adamant. They're pretty upset at what he's done.
Well, I think if you look at
Jerome was pretty vocal publicly.
He said if his heart's in the right place, he comes back and he wants to win games and wears the jersey, then he's welcome to the team. Now, you've got to understand where Jerome they come from. They did this at Penrith where it's team first. And that's the way they think and that's the way they behave. So, whether you have to voice that, I don't think so. But I hope he actually goes away, plays good and comes back and finishes the season, because I think they can do some good things.
Speaking of the June 30 deadline, that's one thing I wish the NRL would bring back. But when I was coming through, I imagine when you guys were sort of finishing up too, you couldn't negotiate with another club until June 30. Now, July 1, July 2, there'll obviously be players signed with other clubs. We'd know that. But that was all happening in the background. Managers were talking to clubs in the background. It wasn't public. Lachlan Galvin is now 18 months out of leaving the West Tigers, and the West Tigers fans have to support him. He has to be there, has to put up with stuff like this. Now, at the moment, he's actually done nothing wrong technically, but the fact that the fans have to support him for the next 18 months, where he's going to go to another club where he clearly doesn't want to be the West Tigers, I wish the NRL would bring back the June 30 deadline. We talk about these trade windows at the end of the year. I think as a former player, players want to know what they're doing before, September, October, November. So I think bring back the June 30 deadline as soon as they can.
So you're saying June instead of November?
Yes, yeah. But June the year come off contract. So this would not be happening to Lachlan Galvin until June or July 2026. Fans would not have to support him all this year and next year if they know he's going to leave. I don't think it's unfair to the game. And this isn't the first person it's happened with. There's been multiple people that have signed at other clubs a year out. It's not fair to the fans. They've got to put up with it.
But no one thinks he's actually going to stay for the 18 months. Many think he won't even last the year. Joey, is it untenable now in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll move on because you're seeing there with the social media, the immature social media posts. But also, if you look at the press conference when Benji was there, Jerome Luai and Abby Coruscant was there. If the senior players don't trust you, then there's no future there. Whether he moves to another club, or you know what, maybe a good idea would go to Super League in England for 18 months, get over there and play over there and get away from all the external noise. But this has to be a line in the sand moment to the NRL to take the power away from the player managers. I agree with Gal, signing 18 months out. It's just ridiculous. I saw a piece at the start of the year, they interviewed all the coaches and they said, what's the biggest issue in the game? A quarter of them said player manager power. So the NRL needs to somehow stop the power of the player managers. From the outside looking in, it looks like Lockie's been used as a pawn, as there's reporting of drama between his manager, Isaac Moses, and Benji Marshall, but also Isaac Moses and the West Tigers. It's been terribly handled. I don't mind him moving on, good luck to him, but the narrative and way that it's come out and the way they've attacked Benji is just disrespectful and wrong. So player managers, how they control their power, but also how player managers can manage coaches is just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That has to stop.
Well, there was a suggestion this week that the NRL will ban coaches from having managers. Is that a good idea?
Yes.
From having managers that manage players as well, or just they can't have managers.
I don't really understand how it works, but by all accounts, the player managers gets the coaches, and then they manipulate the playing roster to get their people in there. And once they're in there, then they pretty much blackmail the club to who they buy and
But
who
the system
they
allows that right now.
Well, we've got to stop the system.
How much can the system change, though? Like, just say you say, righto, Joey, you're a manager, you can't do players and coaches. And all of a sudden, your mate, though, he does the coaches, you do the players. Like, seriously. How, like, you know, our group's only so big.
But you see in the AFL, do we hear these dramas in the... I
They
don't
have a
follow
draft.
the AFL. Yeah, but they got the draft.
They have a draft.
The transfer window gets knocked on the head by the RLPA. RLPA, Nudo and the NRL get in a room and sort this absolute circus out. All year we've spoke about one, Dylan Brown, for a month. Then it was Daly Cherry Evans. And now it's Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the...
So far out from their contracts finishing. That's
fans.
That's why the fans hate it. That's why the fans struggle with it. We're talking about blokes going to other clubs, and they've got to support that player all year. I understand the fans' frustration. That's what I'm saying. Bring back that June 30 deadline, so at least it's only the back end of the year you've got to support them.
But look on the other side of it. More people are watching the game. More people are playing the game. So how much do they hate it?
Well, it's any publicity.
But that's what we should
right?
be talking about. I know it's a circus and the soap opera, which is rugby league, but I'd rather focus on those positives than talking about all this rubbish and the circus around it.
Well, part of the responsibility needs to go back to the Tigers. They actually released a document saying that this is what Lachlan Galvin said to us, that he doesn't feel like he can be developed at this club. Yeah. Like, if they don't release that, nothing happens. Yeah. So they wanted to release it. They wanted to happen.
Which club do you reckon he'll end up at?
Eels are the front runners, right?
Yeah, I thought the Dogs, to be honest. I thought he'd go the Dogs, but Eels seem to be the chat at the moment.
Well,
but
look, Parramatta have lost Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
You know, he was on about...
It's going to cost $1 million. Like,
well, that's the thing.
Why would he go to Canterbury now when Toby Sexton's killing it?
He's been offered $1 million by the Tigers, right? But the thing, a player in that position, as good as he is, he's going to get $1 million at any club, if not more. So the money's not going to be an issue for him. I suppose the only thing he's going to miss out on is the Tigers are going to upgrade him this year, and next year he'll probably miss out on that. But he'll make that up in the long run anyway.
Do we see a world where Michael Chammas has been over this story from the beginning? He suggested yesterday that there's a chance that Lockie could go to the Eels before June 30. Dylan goes to the Knights early, but then the Tigers have to get something. So they need a Knights player, and potentially, Joey, that could be Kai Pearce-Paul, who at the moment is on around $750.
I have no idea. But that's been tossed up. But...
Does he want out?
Honestly, they need a 5'8". If the Tigers lose Lachlan Galvin, they need a 5'8". So at the moment, they've moved Adam Dewey to 5'8". He's a better centre. And they just lose a 5'8".
Well, there's no play.
Latu Fainu, who's injured
at
and has been injured most of the year.
I just think his position at the West Tigers is going to be very hard. I know Luai said his heart's in the right place, but there's still the animosity there amongst them. The senior players don't trust you, though.
Especially if you're winning.
Rugby league forgives. Like everyone, we've all been in a situation where, you know, players have done things that we haven't liked, and we've done things that other people haven't liked. So, very forgiving game, rugby league.
You think he'll stay at the Tigers this year?
I think this year. It'd be very hard to get that whole circus thing done, I feel, because they won't get a 5'8". They need a 5'8", not a back rower.
Well, one thing is for sure, this will continue to dominate headlines for the next few weeks and the next few months.